In the desert oasis where stories ignite, Skip's little bar, a beacon of light. From the Coachella Valley stars to cool everyday Joes, join Patrick and Randy, let the stories flow. At Big Conversations Little Bar, the magic spreads near and far. Backed by the McCallum Theater's grace, celebrate the voices that shape this place.
From the coveted corner booth in a little bar at the center of the Coachella Valley universe, welcome to another Big Conversation with Patrick Evans and Randy Florence, presented by the McCallum Theater. Visit McCallumTheater.org or reach the box office at 760-340-2787. Gentlemen.
Howard, thank you very much. We are here at Skip Page's Little Bar Corner Booth, the much coveted. You know how many people have come up and asked us when we're leaving? I mean, like it's been.
But I don't think that has anything to do with the table.
Oh no, that's just they're tired. They just want us to go. My name is Patrick Evans. You're listening to Big Conversations Little Bar, brought to you by the McCallum Theater. And be sure that you log on right now. They're stretching out the season. They're going to have shows into June this year. I think that's the first time they've done that. They're always adding great shows. McCallumTheater.org. And you're now allowed back in, right, Randy? Ish.
Have you heard something?
I did. No, I didn't hear it. You served at Randy, my co-host, my dear friend, and one of the all-time great ushers at the McCallum Theater.
I don't think.
Wait, is that why Gary Keefe is not returning my calls?
He might have found your employment record.
Well, and I left some stuff behind some seats, and eventually those were going to come out because it was meat. And eventually you just
leaving cold cuts at the work.
I wanted to be able to find my way back.
You're not supposed to eat a bologna sandwich during Pink's performance.
He just wanted that new blazer this year.
Oh, man, that would be nice.
I heard they got blazers. I only got a shirt.
The other voice you're hearing is John McMullen, our producer. Welcome to this edition. We're excited because our good friend Jeff Hocker is in the hot seat today. How are you, Jeff?
I am glad that you're excited.
I am excited.
And this is my first time here.
At Little Bar.
Yeah.
We knew that because you got
John
lost on the way.
And say, where is it?
Yeah, it's if you either need to know where it is or you don't.
Well, the address for Palm Desert Drive is the same as it is for on the other side of the street.
Oh.
They're both Palm Desert Drive.
So he called me from Jensen's.
Oh.
Parking lot.
Well, one day we might do a podcast from there.
Yeah. Although
I'll tell you.
Don't you even say it, Randy.
A remote.
We actually, we actually used to do wine tasting events there. Jensen's was one of my clients for a while. I used to do the Lobster Fest and
that's right,
the big barbecue things, and
they had really great, like when they would do the tri-tip outside and you could go up and get a sandwich. That was good stuff.
Oh, delicious, yeah.
Well, we're just delighted to have you. You got your hands in a lot of different things going on. You're a PR guy, and you're on Eye on the Desert quite a bit.
Yeah, people ask me, when did you get in the whole event production business? And I tell them, I've been doing it my whole life. I used to work, I was in San Francisco, and I used to work on the black and white balls for the San Francisco Symphony.
Yeah, those are
have you ever been before?
No, I've never been
those
invited.
Those are some big balls.
Unbelievable.
Good gracious. Really, it's early.
It's early in the show here.
I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get another one out by the end of the show. So.
But these events, what they do...
These big balls,
is they take every single building within the Round City Hall, the Opera House, the Davies Hall, the State Building, and on each floor is different food, different entertainment.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I mean, there's probably 10,000 people that go to this event.
And you still have a footprint in San Francisco. You still go up there.
I do quite a bit. I have a friend who's a big DJ. He specializes in 80s music, which I love. And so I go up and I hear him spin every once in a while. And also one of my friends who is now here, Audrey Joseph, she owned Club Townsend, which was also like Pleasure Dome. And I used to bartend there when I was in my 20s. and she ended up selling it. They tore that whole block down, of course. And she now lives here. But occasionally, she actually still works with like the San Francisco Jazz, club or organization. And so we've worked together. And she also still produces some of the things for San Francisco Pride Festival.
Well, you produce a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
I think probably one of the most interesting things that you do is Halloween on arenas.
That's, on my way over here, I was thinking that's probably one of the events that you haven't been involved with.
I've not been involved. I have walked through it.
Okay.
I mean, it's
You
crazy.
didn't ask for tickets?
You gave me tickets.
Oh, I did? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, because we always do a VIP area in the back, and I think that's the best way to experience it.
It is, yeah.
And we always laugh because with the VIP ticket, it's open bar, and I always say that we have a dedicated porta potty. And I'm like, when you have 6,000 people on the street, that's a big deal.
It's a big deal, especially when you get to Randy's age.
Yes.
And they need to be really close together.
It's just a great opportunity to meet some of the artists. I have to say thank you always to Mike Thompson RV. They always give us a Class A motorhome, which is so cool. Because a lot of these artists, they go to these festivals or events, and they just have like a tent that they threw together with a mirror and a chair. And so we have like this beautiful RV. They can go in and they can chill out with their band and have a good time.
Podcast hosts.
Yeah,
probably could use that.
But we've had.
We should talk to Mike Thompson RV. Then every show would be remote.
Yeah, one of the things speaking of Halloween, when I took it over, one of the bars on the street, Dick Haskamp, who used to own Street Bar, he passed away.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but he was a venerable, long-time presence.
Yeah, he was one of the first people I met when I came to Palm Springs. But he wanted me to take over the event. He knew what I could do, and when I took it over, I decided it wasn't just going to be a party. What I really wanted to do was really elevate the level of entertainment. And we've had a lot of Grammy Award winners. This last year we had Thelma Houston, 2-time Grammy Award winner. We had Evelyn Champagne-King, Christine W., Debbie Holiday. So each year we try to get somebody who is not only prolific but also is relevant. Somebody who's still performing. I mean, Thelma Houston, 78 years old, was just on the Masked Singer, and won.
Wow.
And let me tell you, at her age, she sang better and she moved more freely than these artists that are 20 years old.
Did you,
unbelievable.
Did you see the Saturday Night Live concert? And the last performer was Cher at whatever age she is now.
I think she's 78 too.
Yeah, and wearing her typical outfit.
Yeah, but there are a lot of parts of Cher that were added recently. I mean, there's a lot of.
It's like a Barbie doll. You can remove the parts and you can put new ones on.
I saw somebody trying to take her head
the
off.
Chassis maybe 78, but a lot of
whatever it was,
the aftermarket parts are relatively new.
Well, it's funny. A lot of these artists now go, what is it your business whether I have plastic surgery or not? And I feel the same way. It's like, do what makes you feel good.
Absolutely. So
you mentioned San Francisco. Are you from that area?
Originally from L.A. I grew up Torrance, Redondo Beach area, and then my dad got transferred to the Bay Area.
What did he do?
He worked. He was a computer programmer.
So you had to go to the Bay Area.
So do you know this point of sale?
Oh, yeah.
We're at the register and you do a point of sale. My dad came up with the technology and engineered those, and he had contracts with Schwab, Target, The Gap, U.S. Postal Service.
So you guys are unbelievably wealthy.
No, but I'll tell you a funny story about that. When my parents were like in their 20s,
yes, like all bankers,
somebody came to them and said, "We have an investment opportunity. We have this company. You're not going to believe it. It's called Kentucky Fried Chicken." And they all thought, who would buy chicken that's fried in Kentucky? And they didn't invest. They would have been wealthy at this point. That was like, in the 50s.
The only other story I know that is that much of a I missed the boat. I'm friends with Rita Vale, and I was friends with Jerry Vale, great Italian singer.
Yeah.
And they were very, very close friends with Dean.
Martin?
No.
James Dean?
Jimmy Dean.
Jimmy Dean.
Jimmy
the
Dean.
sausage.
The sausage guy.
Well, he's the sausage guy now, but he was a country singer.
Right. Very
and
good.
they were all on the same. And one day, Jimmy Dean, they were all at the dinner, and Jimmy said, "Hey, I bought this hog farm, and I'm going to make my own sausage, and I'm going to do that. And would you guys like to invest in it?" Jerry and we were like, "Hell no, you're crazy. That's the dumbest idea we've ever heard of."
By the way, you said Jerry Bale, the Italian singer. Are there any other nationalities that you do that for other singers? Where you mentioned
there are no other
singers other than
ethnicities
Italians
that can sing like Italians. Why would I? I mean, they're Italian
Stupid
singers,
of me.
and then they're glorified karaoke
People that wanna be Italian
That's right.
singers.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
I think that's where I first met you. I mean, do you do much singing anymore?
Not as much. The pandemic really severely hurt my career.
Yeah.
You just did a pretty big one on stage for one of the things you were being honored for.
Oh, the Vimy Awards. Yeah, that I got to sing with a Rat Pack group, and that was very
That's
cool.
pretty cool.
That was like
Orchestra and
Yeah, they
stuff?
had like a full band, it was a 12-piece band. It was fun.
And
they had showgirls too.
The feedback was that
That was the way to do it.
you were the best performer on the stage that evening.
Well, that's what I put on my post.
Yeah.
And the only one, right?
Yeah, that sounds like my Instagram post. That's
I've seen you sing a lot of times in this valley.
I used to go down to Melvin's a lot, and my good friend Michael Healy, who would also be an excellent guest on our podcast. We should get Michael
Mel
on.
was a good friend of mine.
Mel was so great.
Yeah.
Good. I bet you have good Mel stories.
Well, one of the jobs that I had when I first came to Palm Springs was working for the Palm Springs Bureau of Tourism. And that was one of the hotels and restaurants that we always brought photographers and travel agents and travel tour operators and stuff to his hotel. And he would tell the stories.
Yeah. My favorite Mel story, and I've been going to Melvin since I moved here for 20. In fact, there was probably the first 10 years that I lived here, I was at Melvin's more than I was home because I worked the night shift and I would go in between newscasts and I'd go back after. And, they never, supposedly last call was 2 o'clock, but.
As long as Patrick was
Hang out for a little bit, yeah.
Well, there was one guy, Bob, he was a lawyer in town. He wouldn't walk in until 1:55 in the morning. And then he'd still get served.
The food is still delicious.
Oh, they've really elevated, but it's also a lot more expensive. I mean, they've really geared it toward L.A. crowds. But Mel, I knew Mel for years, and Mel knew everybody. And he typically Mel would not buy a drink for anybody because he said, "Look, if I bought a cocktail for all of my friends, we wouldn't make any money."
Right.
I was in on a date with my now wife, and Mel loves the ladies, and he came over and Mel was so classic. He'd tell a quick story, he'd get a laugh, he wouldn't linger, and he'd go. He came over and he did that, and then when I asked for the bill, which said, "Oh no, Mel took care of you." I'm like, "Oh my God, that hasn't happened ever." So I credit my wife with that. But the next day, I saw Mel at the grocery store because we lived in the same. And I'm wheeling my cart around. I come around the corner, and Mel's around. I said, "Mel, thank you very much." He said, "For what?" And I said, "Well, for the cocktails." That was very nice. And he wheels up really close to me. He goes, "I bought you a round of drinks?" I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Don't tell anybody." And then he just wheels off. It's hysterical.
Yeah. Good guy.
So I want to go back. You were up in San Francisco.
Yeah.
How long were you there?
Almost 30 years.
Really?
Yeah. It was great because, I was in media. I was a traffic reporter. I worked for Metro Traffic Control.
Okay.
I did that for about 2.5 years. I worked a split shift. You'll understand that. Yeah. Really hard. My shifts were 5:30 to 9 a.m. and then 3 to 7. So you're tired all the time. But it was great. It got me stepping stone, and I worked for K101. I worked for KFOG. I worked for a variety of different stations, and then I realized I'm not making a lot of money.
No.
So
the traffic reporters. Especially
I think it was minimum wage at that point.
Well, those services, and they do it in L.A. now. It used to be that radio stations and TV stations would have someone to do traffic, but now all the radio stations just contract with something like this. So you end up working for all of the stations, but you're not getting paid by any of them.
Well, yeah, I get paid by Metro, and I had like 6 or 7 radio stations I did traffic for. And then I also produced the traffic for the Cron.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I met Hank Plant.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we became friends, and, in fact, I just saw him a couple weeks ago. But it was great because at that point, I really learned how to start producing events. I
need you to do me a favor with Hank.
What?
When you're finished with our podcast, I need you to tell him how much fun you had. Because we've invited him to come on.
Okay.
And he said no.
Really?
Yes. Hank said no.
Wow.
So we're going to give him a little heat.
No. Nobody's ever said no.
No, we've never. No, people have said no.
Oh, have they?
Oh, yeah.
Hank's got a lot of great stories because he's done
he's
lot
interviewed
of huge
everybody.
stories.
I mean, my God.
Well, I grew up in that market, so KRON and all of the different stations you're talking about, including Hank, I watched.
Yeah. So one of the organizations that I was on the board of was a group called Academy of Friends. And we originally when it was started, it was called Friends of Oscars, or Oscar. And the Academy did not like that. Oh. They said, you need to cease and desist now. Because the word Oscar is trademarked. And so we became Academy of Friends. And it was the largest Oscar party outside of Los Angeles in that we had like 3,500 people a year that would come to this event. Plus the stature. I mean, all the local luminaries who weren't invited to the Oscars all came to our event. So a lot of VIPs and celebrities and stuff would come. But we had the best plant rental, staging companies, artistic people in the Bay Area all working on these events every year. The most amazing that I can remember is we had the Emerald City, and we literally built out of styrofoam the Emerald City 5 stories high.
Oh, my God.
Because it was in the atrium of the gift center. We had zip lines going across with witches flying, and then each of the galleries that were not utilized, we turned into different bars and different activations. So people would go into these areas and be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." So it really learned a lot about what people are looking for when they come to an event. They look for experiences.
Right.
They want something different, something they've never seen before. And one of the events that I go to now regularly every year is an event called the Bottle Rock in Napa. And Bottle Rock is like Coachella.
But
what
in wine country.
Yeah. Well, it's right in the heart of Napa, on the Napa River. And what I say is it's Coachella, but really, really well produced. Because they have these little activations. They have Schramsberg, and then right next to it is a lounge, or they give away swag, or you take pictures or something. And then they have all these little stages everywhere, 6 of them. And then the big concert stages where, I've seen Pink, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Little Nas X, Pitbull, you name it.
Little Nas X. Old Town Road?
Old Town Road, yeah.
Nice.
And
Deep Pull.
And I had never seen this band before, but it was one of the best. Metallica.
I've heard of them.
They are amazing.
I think they're going to make it.
I mean, in the olden days, it was Van Halen that really blew you out as far as sound. But wow, and they're really rich.
Metallica.
All of them. They're all worth $200 or $300 million.
And they're really talented.
Really talented, yeah. Anyway, so, that kind of got me in the whole thing of doing events. And I think that's really, I really love. I mean, doing PR and marketing is fun. I do monthly retainer clients, as you know. But it's the events that really feed your soul.
And you've amped up the events. And I love your Palm Springs Food and Wine Festival. And you invited me, and I've done some.
Yeah, I want
stuff.
you back again.
I look forward to it.
Let's do a remote.
We're not doing a remote.
No.
This is a remote.
Well, we had him as an MC, but I really want him to come and do a demo and really
and sing.
Well, yeah, if you want to sing.
See what I'm doing for you?
I appreciate it. Why don't you bring your pantomime act? Isn't that what you're doing?
Well, 2 years ago, Patrick won the cooking competition.
Well, yeah, at the Palm Springs Health Run. Yeah.
At the health run.
yeah,
Yeah,
health
I
run,
did.
yeah.
I've done cooking demos with Jeff at his health run. That's in January, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, Katie Boyer won this year.
Yeah.
It was funny because I had to go over to the luncheon.
She was competing with Peter. No. Who was she competing with?
No, with what's his name from Telemundo?
Oh, Hernan. Yeah.
Quintas.
Yes.
And I said, well, where's your trophy? And she goes, oh, I get a trophy because I had to go somewhere else, and they didn't give it to her.
I didn't give her a trophy. Oh, poor kid.
Because we do these really nice glass engraved.
No, they're really nice. So the first year I did it, I lost.
I'm sorry.
It was sad. It was sad.
Yeah.
And I really thought
What'd you make?
I don't remember. It wasn't that good. But then the next year you asked me to do it, I'm like, and I knew what I was
pull out
going
all
to
the stops.
Yeah, I did. It was like there was prosciutto and cream, and and the other chefs were like, it's supposed to be healthy. He's using heavy cream over there. Like, is this cheating?
Yeah.
I want to.
I was like, I didn't get that
steak.
guideline.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, when I do things like that, especially with the Food and Wine Festival, I don't dictate what people are going to serve or what they're going to prepare. I think it has to come from you. Whatever your passion is, whatever is feeding your soul, I want you to, because then people are going to really relate to you, and they're going to relate to your dish.
But see, Katie had it, I'm not saying easier, but she had it easier because you had me competing with two professional chefs.
Yeah.
People who actually worked in restaurants and ran Katie.
Hernan said he never cooked before.
Yeah, Hernan. Katie had to beat Hernan. And I'm like, but that's
Chef Boyardee.
Not even mac
But
and
I have
cheese.
to tell you.
But that's why I retired from the health and I was like, I beat these two chefs.
I'm done.
That's it.
I have to tell you, though, she cut her hand literally within the first 2 or 3 minutes of cooking, and she had to go back, and we had to bandage her up, and she continued to cook.
Oh my God.
Thank goodness it was a health and wellness festival.
Yes.
There was people there who could fix it.
Somebody had a Band-Aid.
Yes.
So when did you come to Palm Springs?
Well, so I had bought a house when when I realized that I wasn't making any money in the press. I went into the high-tech industry. Because back then, it was like all these companies were pre-IPO, and all my friends were making all this money, or at least they had stock options, right? So I went to go work for this internet service provider, and I was Western Regional Marketing Manager, and which I was traveling all the time. It was California through Texas.
Wow.
And we had all these high-level salespeople who all they were doing is sell. And so I was one person representing about 50 salespeople. And after 2.5 years, I was exhausted. And
Were you rich?
on paper, it was worth about $3 million.
Hey, don't forget,
Pretty good.
his dad invented the point of sale thing, so he was rich.
Yeah,
before.
That's true. He was already
He's
wealthy.
sitting on money. He's sitting on money. It's house money. He's playing with house money.
Did we tell them what we charged to be on this show?
$3 million. So
With stock options.
So I had already bought a house, and it was a vacation rental, and every time I came down to Palm Springs, it felt more and more like home. And so I just got really tired of my job, and I quit. Well, 4 months later, the stock was going downhill, and all of us were selling as fast as we could, and that just made the stock even go down even faster. we probably should have hung on to it.
Taking your own stock.
Yeah. So
It's the opposite of insider trading, you know.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do
Nobody
it for
will
your
get
event.
arrested for that.
No.
yeah. So, I was looking for a job, and I love telling this story because the last place you ever would look for a job is in the newspaper. And I was sitting by the pool, and I was like, there was a little classified ad, and it said, travel the world, promote Palm Springs. I'm not kidding. With just a phone number. And I called it. She, interviewed me, and the funny part was I had another job interview that same day. And usually a job interview is like 40 minutes, an hour, or something like that. 2.5 hours later, I was like, I have another appointment that I need to go to. And she goes, well, I just want to let you know that I'm making an offer today. And I was like, oh, okay. And she goes, I can't tell the company who it was, but it was our agency of record for doing public relations and advertising. And so after I got hired, we fired them, and I ended up buying $500,000 a year in advertising for the Bureau of Tourism. Wow. That was the biggest part of our budget. Our budget was $1.5 million, and about $500,000 or $600,000 was for advertising. Chicago, everywhere we had direct flights. Minneapolis, Denver.
I love those big advertising budgets, but unfortunately, they advertise out of market. They don't have to.
Yeah, we don't do.
At the TV station, we don't see that money. It's too bad.
Yeah. So, I did 4 years of traveling around the world again, and, I got really tired, and I started my own business, and now I'm really tired.
Now you're exhausted.
Well, you guys know, when you have your own business, you work even harder because there's no 9 to 5. It's if they need you weekends, if a client needs you to come MC an event on a Wednesday night, okay. It's all about building relationships, which is so key.
Yeah, and there are no hours. You're open 24/7, 365. We're going to take a quick break to acknowledge our presenting sponsor, the McCallum Theater. And we're in the heat of the season right now. You can check out some of the great shows that they've been adding. Go to McCallumtheater.org. Let's hear from them.
The McCallum Theater's 2025 season is on sale now. The world's top artists from jazz, pop, classical, and comedy to the best of Broadway, only at the Valley's favorite place for great entertainment. Tickets are on sale now at the McCallum Theater's box office, by phone, or online at McCallumtheater.org. Tickets sell quickly, so order yours today. It's an exciting season only at the McCallum. Your entertainment, your theater, the McCallum Theater.
Thank you very much, McCallum Theater. McCallumtheater.org. It's such a great spot.
What?
The McCallum Theater. Try to keep up, Randy.
Yeah.
I was back on the .org thing.
What?
I love the McCallum. I think everybody should usher there.
This doesn't sound forced at all.
We are very fortunate to have that there, but I'll tell you a story. I sit on the committee for the city of Palm Springs for performing arts. And, in fact, tomorrow, I think it was our meeting. And I said, we've got this big hole right in the front of the Palm Springs Art Museum. Why don't we build a concert hall right there? You could have a black box. You could have all these nonprofit organizations who, a lot of them don't have homes. Yeah. They basically are P.O. boxes, and they don't really have anywhere to meet, have offices there. And you could extend the parking structure under there. And everybody's like, yeah. I was like, well, you have all this Measure J money. Why don't you use it to filter money back into the city in a big way? I mean, McCallum has its purpose, but I think we're now at a point with so many theater organizations and stuff that I think we need another venue like that.
Well, especially with the advent of Acrisure. So now you're getting these, big 10,000 people draw. So it is open. I think initially people were concerned that it might harm the smaller venues that we're used to. But instead, I think it's opened up space for more of those kinds of performances.
Yeah.
It would be good to have a performance center like that in Palm Springs. Not that we want something to compete with the McCallum Theater, our presenting sponsor here on Big Conversation.
We love McCallum.
No.
And by the way, if they built it, we would boycott that. We would 100%. Unless they became...
Well, and the funny thing is, you now have the Plaza Theater, which is about to open.
That's only, what?
It's about 700.
600 seats, yeah. So that's a small venue, but like the Oakview Group is... They're invested in it, and they're going to run it. And, John Bolton, one of our early guests, he's in charge of that, and they're doing some great programming. I mean,
we got seats pretty much guaranteed there.
Front row center, baby.
For everything.
I saw the plaques, RF, PE, they're right there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hope that stands for
By the
us.
way, we owe them $1,200 a piece for those plaques.
Oh, okay.
Put them
Cash
together.
only, or Zelle.
Zelle will take a Zelle.
They don't take checks.
That's right.
So is there an event that you look forward to every year? They're all hard work, but is there one in particular that you look forward to putting on?
Of my events?
Yeah.
I would say the Food and Wine. because it's in its early stages of coming back. What a lot of people don't know is that my friend Lisa Wary and I, very early on, we're talking about 13 years ago, started the Palm Springs Food and Wine Festival.
And Lisa's a great wine rep. She's incredibly knowledgeable, and she's terrific. Like if I do a charity event and like I'm doing a dinner and I need some wine, if I call her up, she'll donate. It's terrific.
Yep. And so, after 1 year, I was like, I really need to partner with somebody. And so I partnered with Palm Springs Life, and I created the Palm Desert Food and Wine. We went to the city of Palm Desert and asked for funding. And, Frank Jones and at that time, Milt was still alive. And they loved the idea. And, I did that for about 4 years. But at that time, I was also taking on other things, like I was the executive producer for Idlewild Jazz in the Pines. I was hired.
Great show.
Yeah. I was hired to do Opera in the Park. So I kind of went away from the relationship there. But everybody kept saying to me, bring it back to Palm Springs, bring it back to Palm, because we've got all these chef-owned restaurants in Palm Springs. And so Lisa and I, 3 years ago, go, okay, let's try it. And so, now it's going to be the third year this year, and it's growing by leaps and bounds.
Well, it's hitting its stride. I mean, I did your first year. Then this year was really, you really expanded it. It was terrific. It's a great event, and I know that it's got a great future.
Yeah.
People need to come. It's a terrific weekend. It's so fun. We had perfect weather. It's the right time of year to do it. You just and you did it right. It was terrific.
Yeah, and it's unique. It's in a Palm Springs Stadium. It's in a baseball stadium. But once you get in there, you don't even realize you're in a baseball stadium.
And Randy was a baseball player. You'd love it.
Okay.
You'd love it.
Plus, it's got food.
Well,
and wine.
You drink a drink, and you run around the bases.
It's nothing like wine and peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think
you've also brought in, I think, a really incredible selection of wineries. Like the wine aspect this year was, you really elevated it.
Obviously, when I met Lisa at a Piper Heidsieck event at the Viceroy. And we ended up getting Viceroy and Piper Heidsieck as sponsors as their first event. And one of the things we did, this was really cool, is I'm a big fan of Japanese anime. And so we had the Piper Heidsieck.
Is that porn?
No.
No, it's regular.
Not
soft.
always.
Soft.
Hey, we don't need anything personal being talked about here.
I'm sorry.
But we called it the Piper Heidsieck Bubble and Groove Lounge. And we got Santa Monica Seafood as one of our sponsors. And we did these mounds of fresh oysters and scallops. And, people could go and pick up their own split of Piper Heidsieck. And the cool thing about it is
That's champagne, Randy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. During the day, we...
he thought it was an airplane.
We had lights and stuff going on, but all the walls on the tent were all closed. And so people were like, what's that? What's going on? And we sold out all the tickets immediately. But we want to do some things like that at the Food and Wine Festival to kind of blow people's minds. Really, again, Food and Wine Festivals need to be more about entertainment. And someone said to me, it's like, oh, you have liquor at the event. Well, it's like, just because it's called a Food and Wine Festival, we may even have cigar rolling, have a cigar area. We wouldn't put it right near the food area, but the baseball stadium is so big.
You can have a lot of space to work with, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it is because my very first job, and I think you know this, I was a fish and poultry butcher. I did that for 6 years and learned a lot about how to prepare, how to cut every different kind of fish and poultry and meat. And it was funny because when here I was like 15, 16, 17, and I'm telling people how to pair their food with their wine. And they're like, how do you know? It's like, well, hello. I just knew. And so I love that event, and I know it's going to be huge one day. We are already talking about comparing it to Aspen or South Beach.
Wow.
just in the way that it's going to be very unique and very high-end in a way that's palatable. Not high-end in price, but high-end in the value that people get when they come to the event.
Right. Which is one of the great demonstrations that you had this year was Michael Hung from the Palm Springs Surf Club, their Navigator restaurant, and he did a demonstration on knife work and butchering poultry. It was usually you get like a food demonstration, which is always terrific, a great recipe, but this was like, I can really use this information.
Really?
And it was phenomenal. It was very informative, but very practical, and I thought he was terrific. Stuff like that really, that's the kind of stuff that, because you can take that home and use it, put it right to work.
Yeah, and we've had one guy who has been there for the last 2 years also, Joe Sasto. He's like this amazing Instagram and TikTok guy.
Oh, that's right.
All the time. He's on there talking about pasta and all. And he's got this line of chips called Tantos. And it's puffed pasta, and they're all these like Italian flavors. And he adds, like you do. You're a character, and people love hanging out with you and talking to you and stuff like that. He's one of those guys that's very, easy to relate to.
And the other person, Daphne from the Food Channel.
She's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's terrific.
Yeah. So
you must start working on this.
It's got to be year-round.
Oh, yeah. We already did.
One of the things that I discovered about you, I knew that you were repping the Palm Springs Gay Men's Chorus. Mm-hmm. But then you were like, oh, yeah, and I've been singing with them, and I did not know that. But you love doing that. You really got involved at a very grassroots level and became, you weren't just repping them as their media person. You're involved, and you do all the concerts, and you sing, and you go to the, that's a big time commitment, the rehearsals alone.
Yeah, it's 11 years.
Wow.
And I work a second tenor. And, that was one of the things we were going to bring up is our concert is coming up, and we licensed from Disney a show called Disney Pride in Concert. And only the biggest choruses in the United States have really done this show. It's expensive. It's like $16,000
for the licensing?
One show.
Wow.
Usually we spend about $11,000 for 2 shows over the course of a season. And with that, you get all the video clips that go with the songs. But this concert is really interesting. It's not individual songs. What they did is they hired a composer to come in and sort of morph the songs in a storyline. So you have like Lion King with Mulan, and things that are Arabic and African and stuff like that. And then you go into a piece that's Mary Poppins. So you sing Fly a Kite and Tuppence a Bag and songs like that, which are really beautiful songs. When you're doing the other part of that is that you have to have songs that are done in 4-part harmony, tenor 1, tenor 2, bass, and baritone, and not all music has been done that way.
Right.
So, a lot of times people say, oh, can your chorus come to our birthday party and sing blah, blah, blah? Well, we're like, no, because one is we get paid to do that, but also we have to have the scores to do that.
Right. There's got to be an orchestration in your parts.
Yeah. And, the thing is that, we have an accompanist, that Joel Baker, who,
Joel's
you've
terrific.
worked with a lot.
Yes. We call Joel Mr. Excitement.
Mr. Excitement, yeah, because he's pan face all the time.
Joel is the most even-keeled guy. He's an incredible player, and he does an open mic night over at the Roost, I think on Mondays, and I've gone over to sing with him. But nothing gets him. Joel's like, if he's excited, it's this. If he's angry, it's still this. He's just even-keeled. But he can play anything for anybody.
Wow.
So he's really gifted.
Yeah. So if people want tickets, it's already selling out. It's psgmc.com.
That stands for Palm Springs Gay Men's Course.com.
Yep. You can find
when
out.
When is it?
April 24th through the 27th.
Okay.
So it's coming right up, given the week that this podcast will air.
Yeah.
If you're listening to it after April, forget about it. But
well, I think
but
a
they'll
lot
still
of
let
people.
You buy tickets.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
A lot of people come to the concert and they're like, "Oh, I would like to sing in the chorus." And so on our website we have audition information.
How big's the chorus now? Or
You
the
guys have
choir?
like
well,
60 voices.
everybody wanted to sing Disney, so we have like 115 people now.
No way! Wow.
Yeah, it grew from like 85 to 115. So we're gonna.
And you pretty much even between all 4 voices?
He tries. Our director does a good job of doing that.
Yeah. That sounds pretty amazing.
When did you first start singing?
My whole life, really. When I was a little kid, I was never shy. And
That comes as a great shock.
And in Torrance, there's a restaurant called the Red Onion.
Oh, yeah.
And so they had a little tiny stage, and I would go up and I would sing Tiny Bubbles. And so when I was getting a little older, my mom and my dad both were in community theater. And so I would be in the musicals, sing and dance and do all this. And so I did that for quite a few years. But then when we moved to San Francisco, I stopped because I worked full-time and I went to school full-time. And there was just no longer availability to do that.
But it was still there.
It was still there.
Blood.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is with a chorus is you really need to sing with people you feel comfortable around and your voices blend. I mean, it's called matching pitch. And so, when you're singing and you feel like you're being diverted a little bit, you have to really pay attention and make sure you're blending with everybody around you. It's a skill.
You don't want to be the one person with heavy vibrato when nobody else is singing like that.
Well, I'm the one up there like dancing. We always laugh because the tenor 2 section, we have a lot of people who have a lot of personality, and then we have another section that's not so much.
The baritones, they're
yeah. Well,
I'm not picking on them. I'm kidding. That's a joke.
So, kind of like what you were saying about Joel, kind of even keel.
Just very even keel.
They're professional, doing their thing, and that's it.
Yeah, I was always a tenor, and we were the more wild group in the choir, no doubt about it. When I was a sophomore, I was singing an octave above first tenor. And so I started singing Barbershop. And my voice literally changed in the middle of a performance.
Oh, wow.
Oops.
It was not one of my
happened.
finer moments.
We have a small ensemble that does do barbershop, and I have done that. I haven't done
barbershop is. Those close harmonies are tough. That's really tough singing.
But when
takes
you get
lot
it
of
right,
rehearsal.
it sounds like a bell ring.
Yeah. I enjoyed doing that, but with my schedule, I just couldn't do both. You have to have separate rehearsals and all that.
Do you ever have any shutdown time?
It's like all of us. We're all really busy people. You have to schedule it in.
You do. You have to plan on it.
And what do you do when you're looking to get
how do
away
you
from
relax?
I don't.
I will say this, Jeff, arguably is the one person we've talked about playing golf more often than you and I have talked
Seriously?
about. Yeah. Jeff
and
I
does
always
he say no every time?
We've never played. I always say, yeah, we'll do it, but we don't. We just don't.
He doesn't even go there. He just tells me
Didn't
no.
we play with United Way one year? Or maybe there was another chair. Didn't you and I and Dan McGrath play one time?
Yes.
That was a long time ago. I was just talking to him on the way over here.
How's Danny doing?
He's doing really good.
He's a good
Regina's
dude.
doing really well, too. They're great people.
Yeah, they are. They're terrific.
So you're a golfer?
I wouldn't say I'm a golfer.
You have clubs.
I have clubs, and I play occasionally. But, I love to ski. Unfortunately, when I lived in the Bay Area, Tahoe, we had a place in Tahoe growing up. So I was there every weekend. Here, it's like you have to go right when it snows because it's gone the next day.
Yeah.
They're making snow, but it's not the same.
So you had a place in Tahoe. Was that this was the POS money, right?
Well, yeah. I told my dad when he sold that he ruined my life. Because, again, I was there every weekend. My parents couldn't always go, but I was like, in the summer, Tahoe in the summer.
That's a blast.
Unbelievable. Yeah. It's so beautiful during the day with the blue lake and everything.
It's gorgeous.
And then it just gets a little bit crispy at night, but, there's all kinds of bike trails, and that's one of the fun things. You go to like Squaw Valley or some of the bigger resorts, and you take your bike up on the ski lift and you ride your bike
it down. Yeah.
You go up the mountain at Heavenly, and they've got roller coasters and zip lines and all sorts of cool stuff.
Heavenly was one of my favorite places to ski because on the backside on the Nevada side, the run was like 3 or 4 miles long. So you take one lift up and you ski for 30, 40 minutes.
I did a lot of sliding down that hill.
Oh, did you?
Not skiing.
Well, skiing, like golf, is one of those things you have to keep doing.
Yep.
You improve with experience. So.
The nice thing about golf is you're not usually playing in the snow.
Yes.
It's harder in the snow.
You can't find the balls to be
Well, you have to use the yellow balls.
Yeah.
Show up better.
Big balls.
Big
yellow balls. Yep.
Big yellow balls.
So what's coming up for you? You're working right now.
The Gay Men's Chorus concert.
Well, the chorus, yeah. But also, I should tell you about Cinco de Mayo. I don't think
What day is that?
Well, this year, Cinco de Mayo is on Monday. And so what we do is there's a block in downtown Palm Springs called Arenas, and it's the Arenas district.
Randy knows it.
Yeah, and it's easy. It's great because it's the highest concentration of bars and restaurants like anywhere. And I always include like Lulu's and Zen and, Johannes and all that as part of that, But we're doing an event. It's going to be Sunday, May 4th. And we have the top, they're LGBTQ mariachi band from L.A.
Oh.
They are not cheap, but they are really good.
Yeah.
Every member can sing. And individually, for each song, they come up and a different person takes the lead. And there's like a harpist, there's like 5 trumpeters, violinists. It's really, really amazing. So people should come. That's going to be from like 2 to 10 p.m. on Sunday, May 4th.
May 4th.
And they can find out more information on Cinco de Mayo, PalmSprings.com.
There you go, Cinco. I dated a harpist once, but she strung me along.
Way too much.
Sorry.
We're 100 episodes in.
I
think it would have gotten better.
I will say this about her. She had a lot of pluck, but it was just a... Sorry.
She flap? Ever?
What?
Flap?
Flat?
The notes?
Flap.
So she was always a little sharp.
Seriously,
Okay.
have you ever actually met a harpist before?
Yes.
They have huge calluses on their fingers.
Yes.
Because it is really hard to pluck those strings. They're wound so tight that you have to really, put some action into it.
Have you played?
I haven't, no.
Do you play any instruments? Musical?
This isn't that kind of a show.
No, I've wanted to. I have a guitar and I've got a keyboard at home, but obviously those are the things that I would really like to spend time doing, and I just don't have time to do.
Do you see yourself slowing down ever? Or are you just having such a great time doing all this?
Yeah, I mean, getting older and, probably 4 or 5 more years of building these events. I've really gone more towards the events that I own, that I produce, just because, as we know, there's a lot of nonprofits in the Valley. I get phone calls, 5 to 10 phone calls a week. Oh, can I meet with you, pick your brain? I'm like, no, don't take the very last piece. Or they say, oh, can I take you to lunch? And I'm like, no, I can afford to buy my own lunch. But what happens is...
He must be doing good. I never turn down a lunch.
That's the POS money.
That's
it is. People want you to fix what they have messed up, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I want to create. I want to expand and create and do something that's joyful.
But also, with the events that you produce, and you have the control over it. When you're doing something for nonprofits, and I do a lot of stuff for nonprofits, you're at the mercy of the board and the event committee, and they have a vision. And I run into this a lot, where they invite me to do an event, MC, and I look at their run of show, and I'm like, all of this is wrong. like so much of this isn't going to
Do you
work.
get it in advance? That's a big problem.
I mean, and now I've started to tell folks I need to see run a show and I need to have a little
say.
Please allow me
Yeah.
to help you with it because, you know.
Which means summer wind at some point during
Always.
the show.
No, we open with summer wind.
Summer
Absolutely.
wind.
That's,
Summer wind.
I like to do it at the beginning while people are still there.
That's sober.
Yeah.
That's no, it's better.
But that's very true.
But like your events, you can run them, you design them, and then you can. That way, it's your product.
Well, and I am really anal retentive about starting things right on time. I do my show flows, I do agendas, everything to make sure that all of my MCs, all of my people, know what they're doing. It's just like with the food and wine. I always had the scripts for the MC to come, and whether they paid attention to what I gave them or not, it's a different story. But
we don't have to tell all those stories.
But also, the big part about it is partnerships and relationships. And because they're my own events, I'm the one that's building those relationships, not other people. And, 3 years ago, I became a nonprofit. So I tell people it's really great for the checks to say Hocker Productions instead of somebody else's name on there.
Right.
But then, we give a lot of money to charity, too.
Yeah.
All the events have some type of philanthropic element to them. And that's, again, building those relationships with people.
What are some of the favorite charities that you work with in the Valley?
One Future, Coachella Valley. I was on the board of United Way for a long time. I currently sit on the board of the Harvey Milk Diversity Breakfast.
Which we were guests at. Terrific event.
Yeah.
Really great. I mean, these kids today, they don't even know who Harvey Milk is.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just like a Latino kid not knowing who Cesar Chavez is. It's really important to know what your history is, because if you don't, what do?
Repeat the mistakes.
So, I love being able, Martha's Village and Kitchen. Smaller organizations like the Palm Springs Frontrunners, they were very involved with the Palm Springs Health Run. So, I gave them money. I work a lot with the Desert Healthcare District and Foundation. So they've identified different charities in different segments of the partners that they work with that they would like to see supported. This last year for the Health Run, we gave money to a Latino and African American division of this organization that really needed support. I mean, they had no money at all. And, a lot of times we forget. We live in a very, a lot of people have money here.
It's a very affluent area, but also
very poor.
We see the biggest disparity. I mean, for part of the year, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett are our neighbors. And they live within 25, 30 minutes of some of the
Larry Ellison.
And Larry Ellison, some of the most absolutely socioeconomically disadvantaged people in the country.
Yeah.
Who are still going to be here after the event's over.
Right. And they estimate in the Coachella Valley about 80% of the children who are in elementary and middle school can't afford school lunch.
Yeah,
and so they have to. Yeah, they have to give money to that. So, there are organizations that, especially things like that are really important to me.
Yeah, I've always thought that something that would be really valuable in this area would be a way to put together a plan for universal child care here in this valley. Mm-hmm. There's so many families that have to make the choice of one or the other staying at home to take care of the kids. And there's enough money in this town that somebody ought to be able to chase that a little bit.
Well, and the other thing is with United Way, one of the things they found with, was it First California, I think it is, or California First, is we identified that children, if they are not reading by the third grade level, in third grade, they're already behind. Which means that they will probably not go on to college. and it becomes a big problem later in life for them. Yeah. So that's one of the things that we always try to do is we had these books bilingual books that we'd give to the parents to read to their children at home to make sure that they were advantaged and not disadvantaged. So
I think that's a wonderful program. So 4 or 5 years down the road, if you really do slow down,
I want to live on a yacht.
Oh, yeah? Well, there's that POS money.
Do you know, I just found out, for $30,000 to $50,000 a year, you can live on a cruise line for a year?
I think I heard that.
I'm like, oh, I'm okay with that.
So at that point, if you get to that point, what are you going to look back at and say, this is what I'd like my legacy in this valley to be?
Wow. Ian, I've really thought about that a lot lately because, a lot of my friends are getting older. And
that felt really personal.
We're all thinking about that.
No, you're not one of his friends.
That's right.
I think...
that personal?
I'm sorry.
I think, I made a difference in people's lives, and I provided events that were captivating and interesting and engaging and different. Everything I try to do is I try to be different.
Yeah.
Nobody does what was his name that used to do all the big Halloween events?
Oh,
I forget his name. He's unfortunately passed away.
Memorable.
No, he was super memorable.
Super memorable.
Gosh.
I can see him. I just can't say his name.
But like
everybody knows,
like the Halloween thing. It's like people just do like big bashes. I want to make it about music. I everything that I'm doing is every event that I do now all has music. Like the Food and Wine Festival, we had last year we had a band from Idlewild Jazz in the Pines. This year we had this girl Carissa. She was on The Voice. She's amazing. She was over there singing Christina Aguilera, and we thought it was her.
Oh, my gosh.
And the DJs I work with, DJ Mod Girl and DJ Galaxy.
She was a great guest.
Yeah.
Last year we had the DJs right next to the stage, which was great, but it was a little too much going on.
Yeah.
And so we pulled them over and we created their own stage, but I think those are the things that people remember. I want people to walk away from things and say, wow, what are they going to do next? What's next year? Like at Coachella, that was cool, but what are they going to do next?
What's next?
Is there anything you haven't done yet that you want to do before you're done doing all this?
Yeah, actually, I'm talking to one of the cities right now about doing a rhythm and blues festival.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. And with a tagline of jazz.
What's your website?
My website is hockerproductions.com.
There you go. Go to hockerproductions.com. Support what Jeff's doing because he's doing a lot of great stuff in the community. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and spending some time with us.
Thank you. An hour goes by quick. You don't think it will.
I know you were dreading it, but see, it wasn't so bad.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it.
This was really fun. Thank you, Jeff.
Once again, our thanks to Jeff Hocker, our guest today. Again, hockerproductions.com. He's involved in a lot of great stuff, supported here in the community. My thanks to Randy Florence. You're the best sidekick going. Certainly at this bar. At this table, at this corner. Right now, you are. John McMullen, our producer. I'm Patrick Evans. You're listening to Big Conversations, Little Bar. You can subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we're available wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Big Conversations, Little Bar. Recorded on location at Skip Page's Little Bar in Palm Desert, California, and presented by the McCallum Theater. Online at McCallumTheater.org. This program is a production of the Mutual Broadcasting System. All episodes are available from BigConversationsLittleBar.com and most major podcast portals.
Meet your neighbors, fascinating and grand. Each conversation, a wave on the sand. Raise your glass and join the ride, where stories and dreams fully collide. At Big Conversations, Little Bar, brought to you by McCallum, our guiding star. From movie, stage, and TV's delight, join us for a captivating morning, noon, or night. So gather round at Skip's Little Bar, where stories travel conversations where they unfold. With Patrick and Randy, tales retold.